was dial-up though, and that's stuff true. Never worked.
Yeah.
Like,
gosh, I wish I could force my kids to go through that experience.
AOL,
yeah,
like ding, 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 ding,
AOL Instant Messenger. Let's get into it. The nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes.
We're back.
What was the greatest thing before sliced bread?
The stone, maybe.
Seems odd.
The stone. I didn't mean that.
Unrelated.
The stone created by God?
Yeah.
That's not what I meant. I meant the wheel. But in my head...
The stone, probably. Yeah.
It was a stone wheel, obviously. So, I just went with stone.
Yeah.
So,
the stone.
Anyway.
Nailed it.
The wheel.
Yeah. Maybe. Could have been.
I'm going to go with that.
Well.
Anyway.
This is part 2.
Well, tell us. Yes, part 2.
I guess.
All about us, because one episode just couldn't fit.
Because we're so vain.
All of our greatness.
Yep.
Into one little spot. So, tell me, Kyle, what of the 1,000 hobbies that you have are you going to talk about today?
I don't have 1,000 hobbies, just 9.
You are the man of many, many hobbies.
Yep. Yeah, well, I just want to do it all. Just want to try it all. And I do a hobby 100% it's a sprint to me. Pick something up and I sprint until I'm out of breath. And then I'm done with it forever. And I never touch it again. That's kind of how it goes.
Yep. I think you're going to go for the Guinness World Record of how many hobbies you have done.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure I'm not even close, but there's some that stay.
They move in that direction.
There's a few that stay, and there's some that are forced out of my life, not by choice. And like I used to love snowboarding when I was younger, but I didn't live near any places to go snowboarding, and was too poor to buy a snowboard to have.
Didn't have the environment, couldn't afford the board.
Yeah, I couldn't afford the equipment and didn't live in the environment.
You had the dream.
But when I was able to go,
able to be a snowboarder.
When I was able to go, it was awesome. I loved it.
That's not a hobby, Kyle. That's a dream that you had.
But what do you call it? Like I went multiple times in my life, but there was like a stint where we were going once a year. And it was awesome. It wasn't. Yeah, I guess you can't call that. Do you call that a hobby? I don't know. Well, you only get to do one.
I guess that's true.
Once a year. But
yeah, because people who go like every year.
Yeah.
Like once or twice a year. I feel like that's still a hobby.
Yeah. I didn't get to do it very often. And again, we went once a year for about a year, I think. And yeah. No, it lasted.
Wait,
I was waiting for you to pick up on that.
I was like, once a year. And in my brain, I was like, he must have said like 5 years or something. But then I was like, no, he said once a year for 1 year. It's like, okay.
No, we did it for probably 3 years in a row. And then I'd gone a couple of times before that and a couple of times after. It just wasn't like all in a row. But we went 3 years in a row and ran out of money. That sort of thing. And
happens to all of us.
So yeah, there's like, let's say hobbies like that throughout my life, or like hunting. Hunting was kind of forced out of my life in a sense. Like if I really tried, really, really wanted to, which I guess I did really want to, but I didn't want to bad enough. That makes it like hunting in Texas is different than hunting in Illinois.
I really wanted to, but just not bad.
Yeah, on every account. Well, I just think I'm like, well, if that was my main focus when I moved down here, I would have made it happen. But it wasn't. and hasn't been just because it can't be, essentially. But it's just, there's everything's privately owned. You got to know people, or you got to be willing to pay a bunch of money to go to like high fence hunting, which is basically they have, how many ever acres, and then they have high fences all the way around it. So the animals that are there are there. It's kind of cheating. But it is what it is.
Kind of. It's like, just wait a couple minutes. There'll be another one.
Yeah. So, so it's that one. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. If we move out of Texas ever into a state that's or if I make the right connection that they've got property that I can hunt, then heck yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that would be back in my life. But the ones that are current and lasting, let's say, are retro collecting. That's my latest hobby, and I've done quite well at it, I would say. I didn't really start until August of last year, maybe. And before I started,
you're sprinting like Usain Bolt.
Well, I was going to say, so I started August of last year collecting, and I try and do it all like thrifting or like deals. I almost always refuse to pay full price for anything, especially nowadays where like just go to Goodwills or thrift shops or find it on Facebook Marketplace when somebody doesn't know what they got. They're just like, I just want to get rid of it. Or garage sales. Those are my favorite. Love garage sales because it's a numbers game where you go to 10 of them and 9 don't have anything. But that number 10, boy, that's where you get the real deals. From August of last year, I think it was probably right around August, I started doing that and doing it heavily. And then before I started selling off my collection, which would have been, a month or two ago? Right? Yeah. Say April-ish, April timeframe. So from August to April, I had accumulated about just over 15,000 in video game stuff specifically. So I also I say retro collecting because I've got quite a large VHS collection. Which I know seems odd to most people, like, well, who the heck collects VHS? But it's just something nostalgic, man, about taking a VHS and putting it into the VCR and just hearing it all clicking, clunking, and all that stuff. And then you get the lines on the screen, the tracking, and it's just great. I love it.
Brings back memories.
It's actually the first time I watched The Godfather ever. 31 years old. I know. Shut up. First time I'd ever seen The Godfather was because I bought it on VHS earlier this year. And I put it in the VCR, and I watched The Godfather on VHS. It's a 2 VHS set.
I was going to say, that has to be a 2-part.
Yeah.
You get like a little intermission.
Yeah, it was great.
Taking it out.
Yeah, I think I watched The Godfather Part 2 on VHS as well, and then the third one I had to watch. I never tracked it down, but third one I had to watch digitally. Ugh. High definition.
So sad.
Man.
So sad.
But yeah, so it's like retro crinkling and like 80s, 90s nostalgia collecting. Primarily the things that were nostalgic for me personally, but some things that I've learned about along the way, some video game consoles and items and games and things like that I didn't really know much about, but I've learned a ton. That is for sure about video games primarily, a lot of different consoles and stuff, and I keep looking around because this is the room that I house it all in, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Got a pretty decent Mortal Kombat collection, as you can see here.
Ta-da!
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat for some reason is something that I gravitated towards. Just being able to rip your friend's heart out. It's their beating heart, and just rub it in their face.
I would like to say that I remember when you would play that, and like actually play the story mode, which I had never done with any Mortal Kombat game.
That's really honestly what's hooked me. It's a story wonderful story to get wrapped up into, just love and rainbows.
And then I would come over and I would just button mash the hell out of it, and I would win sometimes. And you're like, why?
There's only one character that you ever beat me with, and then you would just stick with that one over and over.
It was and it was so great because of course I wasn't going to beat you in skill. I didn't even know what to do, but I'll button mash the hell out of those things, and it worked. Yeah. That's the beauty of Mortal Kombat. I feel like.
No, that's not the beauty of Mortal Kombat is button mashing.
No. You can come in out of nowhere and still have somewhat even odds of saying, like, you've got skill, I can push these buttons really fast. And then we'll see who wins. And it worked out. I'm just saying. Just
from time to time.
For those who aren't huge
but see, that was
video game players.
That was the problem. You're a huge video game player. You just not Mortal Kombat.
Not for Mortal Kombat. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, Mortal Kombat's for everybody.
But that was the thing. Yeah, Mortal Kombat's for everyone. It's a whole family fun night, for good, wholesome family fun.
Ages 5 and up.
But that was the thing with my friends, is that I was the only one who liked it as much as I did. So people would play when we had people over, and then they'd just get sick of it because I would beat them a lot. And so they're like, well, I don't want to play. This is stupid, which I understand. I totally get that. So, but anyway, Mortal Kombat and then Ninja Turtles. Retro. My son got me back into Ninja Turtles, really. Because, I couldn't really care less about any of this. I remember when I was in high school and our church had a rummage sale, and we had all sorts of crap in the basement of the church it was tons of stuff people donated. And Ethan and I, there was a broken Sega Dreamcast, and we were just like, who in their right mind is going to buy a broken Sega Dreamcast? Like, this is garbage. This is little trash that people are, dumping here. And someone bought it, and we were just like blown away. Somebody actually bought it. And then here I am at 31 years old, and I'm buying broken Sega Dreamcast. I am now that guy. Yeah, I am now that guy. I do. I have like a whole box of broken consoles because I also like to fix them. I enjoy tinkering and fixing them. And it's something about, because there's a finite amount of these things left in the world, and there's something about being able to fix something that otherwise would have been thrown away into the trash and forgotten about, and then bringing it back into the community and putting it out there for people to enjoy. So there's something about that that's rewarding to me. Not to mention the money.
Definitely.
It's nice.
It's just I'd do this if it was free too. Yeah. That's a lie.
Well, I'm with when I was at about $15,000 worth of stuff, I was total investment was probably $3,500. So I invested about $3,500 and about $15,000 in value. And the reason why people I know that sounds like, what? How the heck do you accomplish something like that? And it's like most of it I got for free, in the sense that I would buy bulk. Someone selling off their entire collection or whatever, and I would keep what I wanted and sell the stuff I didn't. And a lot of times I would get it at such a good discount that when I sold the stuff that I didn't want, it ended up paying for the cost of what I bought the stuff for. Yeah. And so which is in my mind, genius. It's like, well, that's free. So everything that I'm keeping is now free, and sometimes even made money off of it. So yeah, I would say I didn't do a good job keeping track of my expenses, but a good conservative guess would be $3,500 in.
Yeah. So, which I think is a good way to kind of balance. Now, again, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To find it.
But see, for me, that's
sell off the other stuff.
That's a ton of fun. It's like threefold, I guess, for me. I'm a collector, so I love like displaying and look at all my stuff, look at all my nonsense. Isn't it cool? And so I love that aspect, the collecting. I love the tinkering. That's a lot of fun. I love playing the video games. I'm not curating a museum here. These are games that are meant to be played, and then also the hunt. I love a good come up. You know what I mean? I love finding that deal at a garage sale where I'm like, oh, you're the 10th person, a garage sale I've gone to today, and they don't even have it displayed. There's not even anything out. And I'm just like, oh, you don't happen to have any old video games lying around, do you? And they're like, you know what? I do have this like box of crap in a closet that's I thought about in the last 20 years, and they bring it out, and it's like $400 worth of stuff, and they're like, what do you think, like $20? I'm like, maybe like 15. You're driving a hard bargain. No, I don't. If it's a huge come up like that, I do not continue to negotiate. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with 20.
Yeah,
they're happy, I'm happy. Everybody wins.
It's where the poker face is needed, like hardcore. You just gotta like, okay, yep, $20 sounds great to me.
Yeah, well, and you meet a lot of very interesting people, a lot of great people, but there's a lot of very interesting encounters when your days are spent meeting people off Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and garage sales and stuff. There's a lot of interesting encounters.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Some are awesome.
I feel like
they're like people are still awesome in this world. It really, it helps to see that.
Yeah.
And some people just have different experiences, come from a different background. That's all.
Some people, yeah. Well, I mean, like, seriously, I think that's good. I think that's actually a really good point of just being able to remind people, like, it's still good to connect with people and meet people, and because I feel like, of course, the news always has to like find like the one-off thing that happens and then like blow it up.
Yeah.
Like
that's what
all
sells.
These people who are like going up to doors and going to the wrong house and getting shot. Like that is what everybody thinks. So like no one will go visit anyone, or no one will like knock on a door now. And it's like, that is like a one-off deal. How many times you've gone to random places?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. People. I am always strapped when I meet somebody on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. I'm always strapped. However, that is,
never got mugged.
If I'm leaving the house, I'm always strapped. Always got my blaster on me. So, but I make sure that I have it on me always if I'm meeting somebody.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're not foolish, but your experiences haven't been like you've never got mugged.
Yep.
You've never had somebody try to hurt you.
Yep. Never got mugged, but
you've probably
I made a lot of
had many times,
and I made a lot of good relationships along the way. You know what I mean? Just people at the retro gaming shops that I frequent that, I'll bring in like stuff to trade in, and just they know me, and I sit there and have conversations, because sometimes I bring in a bunch of stuff and it's like, oh cool, you're going to be here for 2 hours while we assess what you brought in and give you a value on it. And so it's like, well, what else is there to do? Shoot the shit till we run out of ammunition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, also you probably just continue to peruse the things that you're around looking at.
But again, there's only so much, you know what I mean? There's only so much, like I'll look around and be like, okay, maybe one item, but that's where I got my heavy ticket items, or like, or big ticket items rather, the heavy hitters that, one game that goes for like $400 that it's so rare that you're likely never to find it out in the wild, like at a garage sale or something. And so I would make my cash back that I put into the bundle that I bought, and then sometimes I would trade in some extra stuff and then build up my trading credit until I had enough to buy those big ticket items. So
that's a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one. And I feel like you're getting close to a year. That's a pretty pretty decent amount for a hobby. And it's been like nonstop for a year.
Well, I have stopped. I do still browse Facebook Marketplace. I did just pick up a broken PlayStation 2 the other day. But it was $15. And, you can't really lose on that.
Yeah.
So
slowing down though.
Yeah.
Slowing down.
For sure. It's definitely slowing down. Focus on other things for the time being. And but yeah, it's certainly still a hobby, and keeping some of the video game stuff. I am selling the vast majority of it, but I'm still also kind of collecting. I picked up a Nintendo Switch, which is the most modern console I have, and it's just fun to play. Like, one thing that really brought all this to be was the thought of being able to play with my sons as they get older, and any future kids that we have, and being like, hey, if you want to play the Switch or whatever friggin' console is out by the time they're old enough to understand it, you got to work your way up. You got to start with this Atari over here on this knob television that I got, and you better beat Pitfall.
Earn your stripes.
Yep, you better beat Pitfall on this Atari before you move on to the next one. And work your way up. This is where it started. No, I won't be like that. But I do think it's cool. I think it's cool, the history of it. And then the Atari came out long before I was ever thought of. Even the NES came out before I was born. And so a lot of these consoles that I play and enjoy, like, I will say the Atari, the replayability of the Atari is not great. It's not a console I turn on very often. I do turn it on from time to time, but not a lot. But the NES, the NES has quite a few titles that are they're awesome. They're so good, and I could play them forever. Yeah. So the fact that it can hold up that well, and then I've got VR as well, so I've got that's what I tell people. I collect everything from Atari to VR.
Yeah.
So they'll have the rack to peruse, that's for sure, as my kids grow up.
Be spoiled little kids.
Yep.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Even from our generation and before.
Yep.
All the way up to their present.
Yep.
Man, some kids just have all the good things. we had to trade in consoles.
Yeah, every single time. 30-year-old me is like, "What are you doing, you idiot? Keep all of that. Keep the boxes. Don't throw anything away." That's another thing.
See, that's the
thing. You have the box and the manual in the world of collecting, that makes it so much more valuable. There is a game that I have, Turtles in Time, for the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and the cartridge itself is like $45, which is, that's great value retention over the years. I would say that you could, the cartridge still is about $40. But if you have the box and the manual in decent shape, it's like $300.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it's just because you have the box and the manual, and it looks better on a shelf. And it's more rare to find the box because it's made out of cardboard, you know what I mean? And the manual paper. So it's like, to be able to survive almost 40 years and be in good condition, it makes it more rare and more valuable. So,
yeah. Which, again, that's the beauty of pretty much everything. It has value because someone thinks it's valuable.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it.
Literally, that's because I always joke around with my wife. I'm like, diamonds are just shiny rocks. That's all they are. There's a bunch of different shiny rocks, and obviously those are rare. That's also why they're very expensive. But it's because somebody was like, "Hey, this shiny rock, I really like it. Not a lot of them. We're gonna make a deal out of it.
It's rare
and
scarce."
People were like, that's going to be very expensive. And then we go out and buy those shiny rocks.
Yeah.
For a lot of money.
Well, and it's utility as well. There's a lot of things that you can do with diamonds. You know what I mean? It's not just
that's true.
Jewelry. Obviously that's the easy go-to. That is I don't know if it's the most prominent. Actually, I've never even looked into that. But there's
true.
a lot of utility in diamonds. Being a
diamond blade,
a stupid hard substance.
Yeah. That's true. There is utility,
and same
to
with
it
gold.
As well.
You know what I mean? Gold is a very useful metal. It's not just a shiny metal. Now, obviously, it's shiny, and we all have shiny object syndrome. So,
duh.
Yep. But
definitely
enough about my hobby. Well, one of my hobbies. But what do you like to do for fun?
That was like 20 plus minutes on one of your hobbies.
It's like 20 minutes.
We would have like
that's my most prominent one.
Podcasts.
That's my most prominent hobby
to do if we did all of your hobbies.
No.
That's
because I'm fresh off the heels of like plants. That was
I know.
I went through, which I still love plants. I still love my plants. I'm still landscaping in my yard, and I actually just tonight I was researching plants to attract specific. Gosh, I'm just such a nerd. Plants that I could. I don't even want to say it. I could plant in my yard to attract specific pollinators, like butterflies and hummingbirds and stuff.
So you could be that old dude. You're gonna be just like your grandpa.
Yeah, that's not a bad person to be. That's for sure.
Green thumb, and you're just be like strolling around.
I love it, man. I've got a hibiscus bush out front and the big, beautiful flowers. I sent you that whole 45-minute Marco Polo on my morning glories that I've been training. I've been planted
training with staples.
I planted morning glories in front. We've got like these pillars in front of our house, and so I planted morning glories in front of them to try and get them to vine. For those of you who don't know, morning glories are a vining plant that they have big, beautiful flowers that only bloom in the morning, and they're probably some of my favorite flowers for sure. And so I've been like, they're not quite staples, but they're like a little tack thing that I've been using to help it climb up the pillar and shape it and everything. Plan. Yeah.
Come on.
I even just added fishing line to the bottom to keep it nice and tight to the pillar.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. This is the part that I think is unique about you, is that whenever you do something, you become wholly invested, either in the research, in the follow through. It becomes not an obsession, but
it's an obsession a lot of the time. I love the research portion of it. Yeah. I love gaining the knowledge of that. With video games, there's a YouTube channel that I follow called Gaming Historian, and it's just literally how Mario Kart came to be. Didn't start out as Mario Kart when they first started developing it. Started out as F-Zero. And obviously I'm not going to tell that whole story, but it's just that's fascinating to me. I love learning about all that and how it all kind of came about and came to be. And with plants, it was just, there's so much research. There's so much out there that you'll never learn it all. And so it was just this bottomless pit of research that I could do. And I love that portion of getting into a new hobby is the research portion.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Whenever I get excited, and I feel like this is a guy thing. And again, also probably a girl thing. I think it's just a human being thing to a certain extent. But I've talked to a lot of men, and I feel like it's true. That's I can't remember where I heard it, but it was a joke about the fact that a guy is going to be oh, I'll take up running and go spend $500 on running equipment and then run twice. That'll be it. But it's true. Whenever I get excited about something, I end up doing all this research, doing tons of reviews on things, purchases also. I'm doing tons of reviews. I'm studying about all the stuff behind it. And then, I either do it and then go like hardcore, or like it just like putters out, and then I'm just like, yeah, all right.
Well, my thought process,
I've got my knowledge fix.
Yeah, my thought process has always been, if I'm getting into something, the more money I invest in it, the more I'm invested in it. You know, it's like, oh, I spent $100 on this thing. Now, that has not always been true. In some instances where I've invested, got to buy all this equipment. If I'm going to work out, I have to have everything. I have to have everything. What do you mean? You can't just have, Bowflex weights. Yeah, it's stupid. You gotta have the whole home gym. But yeah, so there are things that I have done and spent money on that didn't really pan out. But I would, by and large, the things that I do end up investing more time and money into are the things that stay, for sure.
Yeah, true. And I think that's true for me. Now, ironically, I'm like the reverse of you. I don't have that many hobbies. Like, it's more necessity. That's like my whole life is just built off of necessity, which, because I was trying to think, I'm like sitting here, I'm like racking my brain of like, what do I do? And mostly, I mean, really the biggest thing that I think has been a change in the past like couple years is exercise. Like I got really into like learning a bunch about it. And so I mean, well, it shouldn't be. It should just be like a part of my life. And
true, but just fitness can still, fitness can still be a hobby.
Yeah, and especially because like I'm doing like I like try to like look into specific things to do certain things like for my body. It's really actually is because of my back. Like I got in that motorcycle accident. I messed up some discs, broke some things that never healed, and so my back gets out of whack so often that if I don't stretch and work out almost daily, I'll be in like really bad back pain. So it kind of came out of that. The older I got, the worse it got. So I was like, oh crap, I should probably do something about this. And my chiropractor was like, yeah, you should just be working out pretty much all the time. And I was like, super.
Yeah. That's
like horribly out of shape.
Exactly what I wanted to hear.
That's exactly. But ironically, like I started feeling so much better that it became like, to a certain extent, an obsession. Like my wife was like, you are working out like 5 or 6 times a week. This is annoying. And the workouts that I was doing was like an hour and a half long. So like, she's like, why all the time? Like, why? But I felt so good. I was just like, I don't know. So like I started doing like all sorts of research. I will say one of the things that has been super helpful for my fitness, kind of learning all the different stretches and stuff like that, was ironically Instagram, which I never was on social media for a really long time. Got on social media for something specific that I was following. I think it was like Bible Study Fellowship or something like that. And I just was looking because like there was like a, I don't know, calisthenic or something like that video, and I was like watching that, and I like got on and I watched another one, and then my entire feed, because they just go off of an algorithm of whatever you look at, they just feed you more, was exercises. And I just went nuts. Like I got so many stretches. I was getting, it was bad. It was really bad. But I have literally built my life of exercise around half of those exercises I've learned off of that. And I got like a workout regimen, like came off of that. Like I will say that is one good thing that did come out of my time on Instagram. A lot of wasting time on like office memes, but other than that, it was all about exercise. So really, I would say that's probably it that I've done. And I've gotten, different equipment over time to kind of go. And you know me, I'm super cheap. I'm as cheap as they come. So I'm looking for any way to get the most out of the least. So at first I wanted to get like a dumbbell set or like a Bowflex and like all those different things. And then I was like, oh, no, that's too expensive. I can't be doing that. So I ended up going with the Gorilla Bow and started doing resistance bands and love those. And so I started to look for all these different things, but like at like really kind of like all encompassing, but not that expensive. And there's like a whole community who looks for these things. Yeah. And so I found like this online community of cheap people like myself that are like, this is the best way to get like the most out of this. And so I would say that's probably about it that I do. I'm trying to think of anything else. Well, actually, podcasting. Since we got into this, I watch a ton of videos, trying to learn how to edit things, which, still on the early side of that one. But this has been something that I've really gotten into and
there you go.
Have enjoyed. So I got 2
movies.
Bam.
Movies is a hobby. Cinema. Enjoying the cinema.
Oh, true.
That is a hobby that has been in my life forever.
Yeah.
I have a very deep
movies
love
and TV shows.
Yeah, deep love of movies and TV shows as well, but more movies. I'm a big movie goer. Love the movie theater. Yep, love the experience.
I just like it's so sad because when we had Jude, I just went and saw John Wick 4. Mm-hmm. But before that, it had been 4 years since I had been in a movie theater.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
It's sad. It was really sad.
I don't understand you.
I got in there, I got all the nostalgia feels, and I was like, ooh, like I got popcorn. I got like a giant thing of soda. I was like, yes.
So before Atlas, and Caitlin and I were going once a week.
What?
Yeah, we had a weekly date night. And it was dinner and a movie, and I know that sounds boring, but we'd change it up every once in a while. But like that's what we love to do. We almost went to the same restaurant almost every time, same movie theater, and it was just like, yeah, that was our thing every Thursday night because it was like the new release. Yeah, it used to be they came out on Friday at midnight, I guess, on Thursday type of deal, and then they were like stupid cheap, and people are like, oh yeah, let's do it a little bit earlier instead, so it's not a midnight release, and so it's like 6 p.m. on Thursday nights or something like that. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
they took all the fun away from it, man. Same with like video game releases. I remember going to like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 when it like multiple midnight releases for video games. And those were always on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Like video game releases were always on a Tuesday for some reason. But that's not a thing anymore. You just sit on your couch and you're like, oh, it's released. Cool, download. That's not cool.
Yep.
You used to go hang out with your friends, staying in the freezing cold outside of GameStop, and they'd have like little trivia questions. You could win stuff like posters and swag for the game, and like there's such a cool experience. Same with the midnight release for movies. They don't have. It's just not there anymore. But
no,
what can you do? People
don't know about the sacrifices that had to be made.
Yep.
Like everything is so much easier. I remember like this afternoon, my son was watching TV. He said, "Hey Dad, pause this show so I can go to the bathroom." And I'm like thinking back, and I'm like, I remember when me and my brothers would be dying. Like
hold it till a commercial
needed to go. Yep. And you would just be like, and you'd run.
Yep.
And then you'd have one person that would sit there and be like, it's back on. And then you would everyone would just barrel back through. Like, it'd be mid going to the bathroom and just like running with your pants, barely pulling them up. And like, you would dive on. And that was
on demand.
I know. But I thought that was way more fun to be able to have, because it made it more special.
Yeah.
That it was only on one night a week for one tiny bit of time, and if you missed it, you missed it.
Yep.
Like you went to school looking like an idiot because everybody's like, "Oh, did you see it?" And then you're like, what do you mean? And they're like, it came out last night. And you're like, oh my gosh, because there was no way to see it.
Yep.
It was over. Like There was no internet that you could YouTube it. Like,
I mean,
it was just
there
the
was
end.
internet. We're only 30.
Yeah, I meant like no YouTube like instant replay. That's what I meant. We did have internet. It was dial-up though, and that's stuff
true.
never worked.
Yeah.
Like,
Gosh,
it
I
would
wish
take
I could
30
force
minutes
my
to get
kids to
on.
go through that experience.
AOL.
Yeah.
Like ding, 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 ding,
AOL
ding.
Instant Messenger.
Oh
your
gosh.
screen name. Yep.
Oh, I can't
Have
even
your little
remember what mine
bio,
was.
and then you could have like away messages and stuff. And so great.
The away message was always like some emo message. I remember every single girl had this like emo message
Oh,
for when
man.
they were gone. And I was
Gosh,
like,
the early
what is happening
2000s. This is
here?
what I'm talking about. Like 90s. I would say late 90s or late 80s into the 90s, and then early 2000s. Just the best time frame for like pop
Everything.
culture. You know, like the things that were happening like in pop culture during that time frame. And yeah, obviously I'm partial to the time period I grew up in, but I was born in 92, so I don't remember the early 90s at all. I wasn't even around for the 80s.
No.
And so it's like I still love the 80s pop culture. I love the early 90s pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just so great in that era. And then things started to get real weird, like 2010-ish. Even early 2000s, it started to get weird and things started to phase out. But you know, right at the turn of the century,
Things changed.
yeah, the turn of the millennium, rather. Right at 2000, 2001, 2002. There was some real great stuff out there, man.
There really was. I don't know who I was talking to just recently. Oh, we were talking about cell phones and how kids got cell phones. And I remember that cell phones were out for a long time, but obviously we're poor, so didn't get those. And my dad, I remember my mom was like, "Oh, we should get him a cell phone." And like when we were younger, like, "Oh, that's probably a good idea for safety." And my dad just laughed. He's just like, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
But when we got it, I think it was high school? No.
Yeah, I mean, it was when I
around
turned
high
16. No, it would have been before that. I would have been sophomore year of high school. I think I had a cell phone. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
So when I turned 16, then
Yep.
I think I got it
so-
a little bit before. Krista was the spoiled one because my sisters didn't get theirs until they turned 16 either. And even then, theirs were lacking, to say the least, in features. Even
one
compared
that
to
you kill a
mine,
man
at least
with
I had a
by
flip phone for my
checking.
first one. Because I think they were like 6-7 years ahead of me on that. And then Krista got a cell phone the exact same time I did. When I got mine at 16, she also got hers at 13 or whatever.
It's because the youngins, the young ones get everything.
What the heck, man? But yeah, that was when I got my first cell phone. And when I got my first smartphone was 19. I bought it myself. It was my iPhone 4. I still have it.
Oh, yeah.
The blue and gold one.
That's the blue and gold one. I remember the main one I remember. I remember I had a Motorola like flip one that wasn't like the Razor, not the cool one, but it was like just an old.
No, it was like a Katana.
Chuck it and kill a man. Yeah,
Motorola. It was
And-
like the Katana, I think.
Was it the Katana?
That was my first phone. It was like the Katana 2. I'm pulling this up.
Okay. So mine, I think I got just like a really like ugly, chunky, just flip phone. And then I remember I saw do you remember the chocolate?
Yeah. I remember you having the chocolate.
Yes. I thought that thing was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like, I think there was like a futuristic movie where like they would be like, and then they would be like, they would just like flip it up and they'd be like, "Yes, we're here." And then they would flip it back down. And so I used to think that was so cool.
And they had like the mint
then-
chocolate, and then they had like the red one for like AIDS awareness or something. And
Yep. And I had the black, the original chocolate. And it was everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was the coolest person
The Katana.
ever.
That was my first one.
Yeah.
Yep. Could have been the Katana.
The old Katana.
Too. But yeah, that was good times, man.
I'm telling you what.
So, and I swam with it. When it finally died, I swam with it in the ocean. Left it in my pocket. Yep. Didn't even think about it. Cool. And I was like devastated because we were in Florida. I'm like, how am I supposed to call my girlfriend? She's going to think I hate her.
This is the thing that's the best about like reflecting back on what you were thinking
right.
when you were young.
So great.
You're just like, why was I an idiot? Why did I think that was that important?
Yeah, I was so depressed.
I know, it ruins like the whole rest of the vacation while you're there, and your parents are pissed because they're like, we just freaking paid all this money for you to just sit and mope about the phone that we bought you that you ruined.
Yep.
Like, this is the reason why like parents are like, I hate children.
Yeah.
Like, there's a certain age that the love starts to wane from the parent to the child because they're so annoying. But I remember distinctly my dad being like, "You're being an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, why are you?" And
now it all makes sense. But at the time, it's your world. It's it's just like there's really nothing else that matters.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to a client. We were talking about the concept of high school and the way your brain works, where you think that those 4 years are like eternity. It feels like they like,
oh yeah, high school lasted forever.
Like, yes. And then you get out and like years go by in an instant now. Like, just like, especially when you have children, like it goes even exponentially faster, but like you just age. And so I'm like thinking back, but I literally thought time stood still when I was in high school, and like anything good or bad, I thought it was going to last forever.
Yep.
And then did not, quickly changed into usually not as good things. It would go the other way. But my dad always would be like, dude, this is going to end. It's going to move on. It'll be all right. And I'm like, no, it won't. Everything is awful. And then it really did. It quickly moved on, and here I am.
You there?
Oh, hey. I can see you.
Yeah.
All right.
You started freezing, so I stopped talking, and it's 50:38. I'm marking the timestamp. Is when I noticed you were frozen.
Okay, good.
And then
you were frozen.
You came back like 51:18 or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well,
jump back at it. What were you saying? Time stood still.
I was saying, oh yeah, time stood still. And I just always remember my dad saying like, this is going to change. Like it's going to move on. Your life's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never believed him. And now we're just like looking back and laughing at you being depressed.
Yeah. She's going to be so pissed.
She's not going to want to be with me. That's and we wanted those relationships to last forever.
Oh yeah,
the ones that if you lost your phone was going to end. That was the relationship that we're like, oh no, my phone broke. She's gonna leave me.
She's gonna hate man.
Me. Like,
I was just like she's gonna be so pissed because she's gonna think like I'm ignoring her because I can't tell her my phone's broken.
I know.
And I'm gonna get home and have to deal with that. How am I gonna get a hold of her?
Which now we've become so dependent. Like my dad was talking to me, I think the other day. He's like, when I would go to work and I would work odd hours, he's like, I wouldn't see your mom for like 3 days. We would not talk. We would not we didn't see each other at all. Like other than like maybe she would like open one eye when I like got into bed. Like, and now like I talk to my wife numerous times a day. Like we are like always talking. And obviously my schedule's much better than my father's.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's just crazy to me. He was like, yeah, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't talk.
Well, like you and I,
that wasn't a thing.
if we didn't have Marco Polo, you know what I mean? Like that's
true.
That's how we always communicated. Or when I was in Afghanistan with Caitlin, think about like World War II, you know, or heck, even not that long ago, like even Vietnam, you know,
exactly.
It like you're getting letters. That's it.
Yeah.
Heck, even the initial invasion, man. Like you like, and I say the initial invasion, but like GWAT or like Global War on Terrorism or war in Iraq and Afghanistan. How about that?
Yeah.
And like even then, the initial invasion is just like you weren't communicating on a regular basis. You know, you might get a phone call every now and then, but it wasn't anything like when I was in Afghanistan. It was every single night FaceTiming and get to see your face. There you are.
Exactly.
Like, shooting texts throughout the night, throughout the day. And
that's where
regular communication.
Like now,
playing video games. Like online.
With people.
I say, online, playing video games.
With people that are back home. Yeah. Like that's nuts that you have that capability. But this is why I'm going to be that like annoying dad who's like, no, you're not going to be able to like talk. Because like if
my kids aren't getting cell phones till they're older.
Exactly. It'd be like a crack addict.
At least
just like copious
teenagers.
amounts of crack at all times. Like that would be horrible. Like I would be on my phone with my girlfriend. Like if Jude has a phone, he'd be FaceTiming her 24/7 because that's become the new thing. You were just going to do a check-in with your girlfriend and thought everything was going to be done. If you're not like actively FaceTiming 24/7, like
what do you mean
like
just doing a check-in with my girlfriend? I was going to lay there
you're
for
just
hours.
Be like, hey, I'm alive.
What are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. Just thinking about you.
Gosh. We are just really annoying.
Oh man, all the stupid stuff I would say to girls. So embarrassing. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure some AI has copies of all these texts that I've sent in the past, but you know, it's just like this stupid stuff.
That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to dredge up the old stuff.
Well, I'm going to clarify it's not inappropriate. You know, I'm not not trying to say stuff like that. No. But, yeah, just like this stupid.
But just dumb.
I love you so much, babe.
Yes. All right, so we need to go find old phones that have those. And we're going to have a podcast of just like old stuff that we used to say.
I'm never going to be able to find that. Like, there might be some stuff. It would be inappropriate if it was on my iPhone, because at that point I was not in the right place. I wasn't in a great place spiritually.
You're a horrible person at that time.
So we don't want to go through that.
We need to go. We need to find out. Like, we're gonna have to like look up our old Facebook accounts or like MySpace. That's where we need to go. We need to dredge up. Is that even a thing anymore? Is that even like real?
Yeah, have they closed that down yet? Shut down the servers for MySpace. We'll pull it up.
All right, look it up. Look it up.
They didn't shut down AOL Instant Messenger. Take a guess. Take a guess on when you think they shut down AOL Instant Messenger.
I don't know. 2013.
2013. Hold on. I'm actually going to look it up to confirm, but I want to make sure that I'm correct, but it's later than that.
Because I knew it like hung around for a while.
It did. It just lingered. 2017. Yep. December 15th, 2017.
Was when they shut it down. Now, when was the last time I used it? Was like 2000
That was 5 months before I moved to Texas.
That's
AOL
insane.
Instant Messenger was still around 5 months before I moved to Texas. That's ridiculous. Why?
I wish we would have used it. We have wasted so much potential.
Yeah, right.
we could have been. Forget Marco Polo. It would have been AOL, Instant Messenger. All right, so MySpace. We're gonna find out our login information.
That's still a thing.
If it's still around,
it certainly looks different, but it's still a thing. Yeah, you can sign up.
We're gonna have to go back through it. Yep, we're doing it.
Oh, I couldn't even begin to tell you what the email address would be on that. If it even still exists. I was thinking about, because my first Facebook, because I don't have Facebook anymore, like a real one. I just use it for Facebook Marketplace. But my first Facebook account never officially got deleted, although I told Facebook to do it, but they never did. And so it's still out there floating around. And I thought about trying to track down the email for that, but I couldn't tell you. I made my first Facebook when I was in high school, I think. Right?
What is happening with this? High school?
Yeah, I think
for MySpace?
Well, definitely MySpace, but Facebook. I think Facebook started to become popular when I was like maybe a junior.
Yeah, it was something. It was when because it was like MySpace for a while.
Long time. Junior high,
and then it moved into the Facebook realm.
Yeah, which I resist. I was like, this is stupid. I can't even like customize my background on my page. Where's my top 10? What the heck? I can't have music playing. I can't pick my own song that people listen to when they're on my page.
As soon as you get on, it starts to play.
So sick. Oh man, I hope to God I can track down my old MySpace. That would be so awesome.
That's like acting. Like as soon as we're done, I'm finding that out. So I hope. I don't know if it's gonna be the next episode, but we are gonna have an episode of the exploration through MySpace.
Yeah,
we're just gonna. It'll be like those. It'll be like like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel when they're going through like the things that like people have said, except for it won't be movie stars. It'll just be us.
Yes. Comments and DMs and
yeah.
Oh man.
And we'll have to just pick out the worst ones, and that's what we'll
I can tell you what my very first post on Facebook was. It was a quote from just a very spectacular piece of cinema. And it was, "You eyeballing my piece, 50 Cent?" That was the very first post on Facebook. And if you could tell me what movie that's from,
so happy.
I will give you my admiration. I don't know. You'll have my respect.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Nothing else.
And if you're watching this podcast right now, you likely have my personal phone number. So if you listen to this and you know what movie it is, just shoot me a text.
Yep. Or you can leave it. Maybe that'll be the question that we have. I think that's Spotify.
Post in the comments down below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe.
Hit the bell for the notifications.
Yeah. Don't forget to hit the bell.
We're going to start doing that.
No.
We're going to do that from now on.
I will never do that. I'm not going to be an absolutist. I won't say never, but I have currently have no intentions of ever saying that.
I'm going to take that little pice out and I'm going to put it on the end.
At the end of every single one of our videos.
Yeah. So you're just a liar.
I'm just going to quit.
So it's just like, I'll never say that.
I will never say it.
That's the last thing you say every single time.
I have no intentions of saying it unironically. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just everything. I'm so happy. All right. Well, I think we've really...
We're really poor and we want to get paid for talking and recording ourselves. If you guys could comment, subscribe, and help us get money.
I don't know what you're saying, because obviously I'm not really poor.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to lump me in with you. Like, Get out of here, dude.
Says the man sitting in his basement.
I like this basement, okay?
With the floor joist exposed. I should specify with the floor joist exposed.
This is called the rustic feel, okay?
Don't worry, I'm practically sitting in my attic, so...
All right. Well, you know what? You guys have gone on the journey of more about us. I'm sure we'll make another one.
Absolutely. I can't stop talking
we love
about
talking
myself.
about ourselves.
Yeah. I was thinking about how we should have one. Well, nobody else would probably appreciate it, but just like reminiscing on all the crazy stories. Like the craziest stories. Not just like the time frame where we were giant POSs, but like just in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I think that would be a good one. Everyone's going to want to hear about these great things.
We'll just pretend like with my bare hands. Yeah, that was fun.
That was. So
somebody shot a 40 at my house. 40 caliber.
Oh gosh, that was terrifying. That was a horrible time. But it just speaks to
fun stories.
Where you were at in your life.
Well, that's the thing. So in that instance, it was completely on accident. There was zero alcohol or anything nefarious going on. It was literally like just Joe Schmoes talking, and I was taking a dump. Okay, I'm not going to tell the story now. We'll save that for another time.
Yes, please. Let's do that. Save it. Keep them coming back. Keep them coming back.
Good juicy stories out there.
Yep, they'll be coming to you. We will also be doing more topics. So this is not going to be just us talking about ourselves forever. We will also have some fun topics coming in. So, all right, but I think we're good. I think I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you good? Yeah, cool. I'm good.
Yep, I'm good.
Sweet.
Yeah,
sounds good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh.
All right, good.
Kyle's are good.
All right, we're out. Peace.
No.
Now we got to keep talking.
It just keeps giggling.
If we don't. If we don't.
Did you hear that one thing?
Then, did I tell you that Wells does a maniacal laugh now?
No, but that's got to be awesome.
It's so great. I keep meaning to try to get on Marco Polo, but he's like, whoo. It's so funny.
That's awesome.
And so the best part is he just walks around, and I was just joking around and did a maniacal laugh, and then he thought that was so funny. But now he just will walk around, like he'll be like looking down at a book, and he'll be like, "Hoo hoo ha!" Like, yes.
That's so good.
That's so perfect. It's just great. I'm like, this is the reason why I could not imagine not having children. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Who else is doing that?
Yeah.
What a boring life I would lead if I didn't have a kid just maniacally laughing while he's reading an Elmo book.
It's just, that is awesome.
It is.
Atlas doesn't do anything like that. He
does. Every single time he gets on Marco Polo, he starts being vain and just looks
he's extremely vain.
He's like,
hey,
hello. And he says,
where'd you come from?
You're like, hey, say something to him. He's like, hello. Like doing Blue Steel. He's like,
that's true. He does do that.
I'm like, that's probably my favorite thing. Every single time I listen to that, I just pee my pants because you're always like, why do you just keep looking at yourself?
He'll do it in the mirror sometimes too.
Funny.
Yeah, he'll be like, and like raise his eyebrows and stuff in the mirror.
Haley does say, she's like, that is what were we talking? We were like, I was saying, like, Kyle keeps saying that the Atlas just looks at himself and is super vain. And then Haley's like, well, he's like really cute. So like, if anybody's going to be vain, might as well be him. Like,
it's all going to his head.
Super ugly. Yeah. Like it'd be worse if he was like ugly.
He's even said that before where he's like, I'm so cute or I'm so adorable or something like that. I'm just like, hey, you know what? I hate that I love you.
Yes. You got to have confidence. He's going to be getting all the ladies. He's gonna be like,
he'll pick up on weird things from time to time where he's going through a stint where he's like, what the heck is that? like this weird high pitch. Yeah, to everything. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
And I think his teacher at daycare didn't want him saying that because I said, "What the heck is that?" tonight, and he's like, "You don't say that, Dad. We don't say that." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Did Roro tell you not to say that?" And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, you can say it anywhere but Roro's."
What's the same thing? What did I say? I said this is pissing me off. And then he went and said that, and he's like, "I got in big trouble." I was like, "Yeah,
yeah, well,
that's not the best thing to say." But like, and Mimi, that she hates that word more than like the F word. Why? She would rather you just throw the F word around than say piss. Like she hates it. So
it's so weird
like,
that
my whole family said it. Like our whole entire lives. And so I'll just be like, oh man, this is pissing me off. And she'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the worst word ever. Like, how is that worse than the F word?
Someone would say that, and I used to respond with, "It's better to be pissed off than pissed on." You should say that to her sometime.
There you go. She's getting senile, so probably shouldn't stir her up.
Which would be hilarious.
That would be. She still got it though. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be the plan. Next time I see her, I'm gonna say Kyle Green told me to say this to you,
and then punch her drywall. give it a nice good wallop for me.
All right. Well, I think we have plenty now that I can work with. So we're good to go.